Hello, hello. I was so excited to come talk to you that I forgot to clean up my background, but that's okay. Um, so today's been an interesting day, and I wanted to come on record a video because I felt like it was something that many people could relate to. And I generally do share a bit of actual what's happening in the moment kind of stuff. But a lot of my content, and things that I've learned in my own journey comes from things that have happened in the past. But this was kind of a real time realization kind of thing that I wanted to bring forth. So recently, well, really this last year, I've talked about a lot. I've had a big focus on my relationship and really, working to bring that back to a space where it felt like a genuine partnership and where we were thriving, not feeling like roommates or like we weren't supporting each other, and it had started to get like that, and I didn't want to continue like that. I wanted to recapture some of the connection we had early on in our relationship and honestly go deeper than we ever had before, which has absolutely happened this year. And as part of that, we've gone through an interesting financial journey this year, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to share a lot of this because I don't, well, it doesn't matter why. But I wasn't sure that I wanted to kind of share all of this, but it has been an interesting year financially. On one hand, revenue wise, in terms of like business booked, I think it's actually potentially my highest year ever. Cash, on the other hand, is not the highest ever. And there's been some challenges with that, and I've had to face a lot of my own stuff and my own loops when it comes to money, my own patterns. And I believe that, in the saying, it's happening for me, not to me. So I've really, throughout all of it that we've been going through, have really wanted to reflect and have the awareness around what is that's happening for me and not to me, because many times it feels like it's happening to me. Like, why isn't my cash up? I'm doing all of the right things. Why, aren't things selling the way they used to? Why isn't this going the way it used to? And I've definitely had to have some of those hard conversations. And as so many things have started coming back online, and I've been feeling really good about the direction that I'm going. Things in the relationship have been going really quite good as well. I just came back from Bali, and you know we had had some discussions pre-Bali around some financial stuff, and we kind of tabled it while we were there, came back, and started having some discussions. And today we're having some discussions around, the path forward, and realized we weren't fully on the same page on some things. And I recognized where I had actually probably largely been holding back and not saying everything that I needed to say, that I felt that I wanted to him to hear, because I didn't want to hurt his feelings, because I didn't want um, to be pushy. I didn't want him to think that I didn't appreciate the things that he was doing. And, a big part of what I've been doing is really trying to balance that masculine, feminine energy, both within myself as well as within my relationships and my business this year. So I've pulled back a lot in my relationship and gone more into that feminine, but I started to recognize where I was going more into a bit of a mothering energy again, which had been one of my patterns in the past. And I knew that that wasn't healthy for us, for our relationship, for me, because it would start to make me start to resent the situation. And I knew that in order to continue moving forward, that's something that I needed to clean up, that I thought had largely been cleaned up. And the reason that I'm talking about this, even though it feels really personal and vulnerable, is because I think that there's this like false narrative a lot of times that you think that you move through something and it's never going to come back up, or you get to a certain level and you're not going to have things that you need to work on are things that are going to be perfect. And I know I've talked about that recently myself, but that's not true. It's just the more you grow, the more there is for you to grow into and to grow out of. And, we had gotten comfortable. We've been together, well, for 24 years, married for 17 and a half-ish of those now. Um, and we'd gotten really comfortable in our roles and our habits and the way things were. But the thing is the way things were wasn't working, and that was what led us to that disconnect into not feeling like we were supporting one another. It's what got us into, financial situations, and it's both of our own individual things, but where we were as individuals and what we were bringing to the relationship is what gets us into the situations that we're in. And I started to see that. We were actually on a call with our couples therapist, because that's something that is a non-negotiable now for me, is just to have that. It started a couple of years ago where we started seeing her as, a means to fix. And I thought, well, this is just, again, something that we'll do and then we'll be done with. But it's actually been really helpful. So maybe we don't see each other all the time now. But when we really need to have those conversations, it's good to have that person. So we were on that call, and I recognized where I was filtering myself and holding back because I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want things to be uncomfortable. I didn't want to say something wrong. I didn't want to say something that might, hurt him, or that ultimately could come back and hurt me. Um, but I also recognized where this wasn't serving us anymore. It wasn't serving me. And where I was potentially going to start that cycle that we've been in the past all over again. So I did choose to speak up, even though it was really uncomfortable. And I'm recording this video when we've kind of just decided to step away from the conversation, not like out of anger or anything, but just because we were not necessarily on the same page. And I don't even know still, honestly, if I'm going to publish this, but I wanted to record it because I think that it's important to share some of these things, and sometimes, real raw in the moment, because that's what being unfiltered is, filtering myself until everything is fixed, everything is perfect. That was the old me. And I remember actually earlier in the year having a conversation with my one of my mentors. She said, why aren't you talking about your relationship and how much, it's grown and improved and all of that? And like, that's goes along with your whole brand and like living life in your happy place, and, the integrative approach to success, and how, relationships are mirrors and all of those things. And I found that I wasn't talking a lot about it because I was afraid that, well, what if it doesn't go as I want it to? What if it doesn't all work out and I put myself out there and say, oh, we're perfect and, our relationship is so much better. And then all of a sudden it isn't. Um, and she called me on that. And it's taken me months to really, really, unfilter fully, I think, and talk more openly. But she called me on that because she said, well, that's exactly what you're talking about, like other people, doing, like you're literally filtering yourself when you do that. And it's actually one of the things that people probably are most interested in hearing from you. And, she was right. And I knew that. And people have commented on the relationship stuff and everything that I've talked about, and the connection between relationships and success and all of that. And I found that I wasn't talking about it because I didn't want people to judge me, to question me. But again, largely, I've realized that that was just me and my own shit. And to be honest, if someone doesn't want to follow me, somebody does judge me because, my relationship is real. And even though it's great, we still have things that we're working through, then you're just probably not my person, and that's okay. You can go elsewhere. But if you're still here listening, chances are you probably do relate to this story a little bit. So to be honest, we're still, it's an open conversation, but we opened a conversation that was uncomfortable, but it's the next level. And that's what happens when you're growing. That's what happens when you want to expand into something else, when you want to find more balance, more flow, more ease in your life, your business, etc., when you want to live in your fullest expression, when you want to have a life you love and a business that is in support of that. You can't do that if in like different parts of your life you are still masking, you're still holding back, you're still hiding, you're still trying to be something, or you know take care of somebody else when you're not actually taking care of yourself. And so that was why I, again, in that conversation, even though I didn't plan for that to come up at all today, it just came up in natural conversation, when our therapist had asked us a question. Sorry, I totally didn't even prepare for this video today. I don't care. Um, but I knew that I needed to record this again. I probably will publish it because again, filtering and all of that, and to really be in integrity with that. But I think that a lot of people don't recognize where, other aspects of your life, you are still filtering yourself. You're still holding yourself back. You're still um, not being all of you. And in my relationship, if I'm doing that, then I know that somehow, some way in my business, I was doing that. And they don't have to be directly connected, like having, this conversation in my relationship and I'm not talking about it in my business, because not everybody talks about relationships in their business. But for me, that is something that's important. But the point being is if you're hiding in your relationship, especially your closest ones, where else are you hiding in your life because you're afraid of what people would think people would say, whether they would judge you, whether you would judge yourself, to be honest, and have to face that, because in the truth of it, that's usually what it is in the relationships, whether it's with people or things, situations, etc. in our life, they're there to mirror something fucking back. And I recognize today, again, where I'd been kind of holding back in saying some of those things in my relationship, it was also happening in my business. So hence why I wanted to record that. So anyway, hope that you are taking something from this and that it's been helpful for you in your journey. And if this has resonated with you, I would definitely encourage you to join me inside the Unleashed and Authentically Expressed community, which is my Telegram community. Right now, it's just a small little scrappy group, but really where I even go deeper into more raw realness, and really encourage authentic expression and connection, because I do think that when we're in our most authentic expression and that brings us more into our power, it also puts us in a position to really create really strong bonds and relationships, not just in our marriages, but with other people. And it's largely women, but I'll say other people, not just other women who are on a similar path. So I would love to have you inside there. Otherwise, if you are ready to go deeper in this conversation and you want to chat, send me a message over on Facebook. The link will be in the description below. I do have a few different things happening right now, including my Unfiltered Ascension masterminds and retreats. Right now, I have a Bali one open for next year, and I'm going to be starting to open some other ones here in the next couple of months, as well as my private mentorship. So send me a message and let's have a conversation, or at the very least, join me inside the community, and I will see you over there. And if you liked this video, of course, like, subscribe, all of the things, drop a comment, and we'll talk to you soon.